As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Good fellas, wise guys.
The focus of John Gotti Jr.'s Witsec Mafia project, which will be both the title of a book Jr. is writing and also the topic in a docu-series where Gotti, along with the help of investigative journalist Chris Casparosa, will be bringing to light over 15 cases of criminals who have committed unthinkable crimes, including murders, only to turn government witness, and in exchange for diming out other criminals, no matter how serious their own crimes are put into witness protection after being given a free pass and being presented to members of the public as changed men, all in an attempt to help prosecutors win convictions. But the problem is, a lot of these men turn around after cooperating and go back out to commit more crimes, and in some cases even go back to hanging out with old partners in crime in their old neighborhoods, even though that's against the rules of their cooperation agreement. Jr. claims he's an expert in this field due to the fact he was indicted 8 times by a federal grand jury from 1987 to 2009 on charges that range from assault to ordering murders, and would go on trial 5 times, 4 of which took place in only 5 years, from 2004 to 2009, where the government, according to Jr., would use witness after witness to lie against him with the promise of a lesser sentence, not to mention the case against his father, Gotti Sr., where Sammy the Bull would be forgiven for his part in 19 murders. In the series, it's alluded to that Gotti Jr. will not only be covering the cases of Sammy the Bull, who signed out of Witsec to go on and start an ecstasy ring in Arizona and trying to start what he called the Arizona Mafia, and John Alight, the star witness in Jr.'s latest trial, who's also been accused of continuing to commit crimes after joining the program. But according to WitsecMafia.com, Jr. will also be going over the cases of different criminals, which includes certain members of the Giannini crew, a violent gang of up-and-coming wise guys based out of Ridgewood, Queens, who acted as a farm team for the Gambinos, Colombo, and Bonanno crime families. It will also feature a bank robber named Gerard Bellafiore, who's arrested and released multiple times after cooperating for continuously robbing banks. The docuseries will feature a Russian gangster named Manny Chopaev, who cooperated, got released, and went on to murder a rapper from Atlanta. A KKK member named Frazier Glenn Miller, who went on a murder spree, killing multiple people who were Jewish after his cooperation. John Vesey was a Philly mobster who cooperated but was able to relocate right back to his old neighborhood and continue committing crimes. Frank Giola Jr., a Lucchese soldier, who after cooperating went on to defraud over $60 million from unassuming civilians with the new identity that was provided by the Witness Protection Program. Danny Hernandez, the boss of a California prison gang known as Nuestra Familia, who joined Witsec and helped take down his gang but continued to sell guns and drugs and order murders. He was charged after his agreement but is now free again. Marion Albert Pruitt, who killed his cellmate and testified that someone else did it and was released after joining Witsec, would go on a multi-state robbery murder spree. Jr. will also highlight the El Rukin scandal, which involved Chicago gangsters who became informants in the 1930s, where the judge on the case appointed a U.S. attorney to question federal prosecutors about allowing drug use and allowing cooperators to have sex in their government offices. Jr. also claims that a lot of these cooperators will conspire with FBI handlers and government prosecutors to lie against the defendants they're seeking to lock up, and will then go on to try to use their previous lives of crime to gain fame and notoriety by writing books and doing TV shows and podcasts, which is a violation of their cooperation agreement, as well as the Son of Sam law, but nothing is being done to stop it. Also, as part of the informants' cooperation agreements, the feds are supposed to administer lie detector tests to the cooperators to get an insight as to their intentions following their cooperation. But despite men such as Philly mob boss Joe Messino failing multiple lie detector tests, they are still being accepted into the program. Robert Dussault was another member of Witsec who was involved in the New England patriarchal crime family and was part of the Rhode Island bonded vault heist, where the men were said to have gotten away with $30 to $32 million from a secret room, which contained 146 safety deposit boxes used by various mobsters. Dussault would flip on his crew after a contract was put on his life, and while in witness protection, he continued to rob banks. According to Junior, him, along with Casparosa, have went through thousands of pages of documents as well as hundreds of hours of interviews in their mission to expose the flaws of the witness protection program. They will not only have research on the criminals who violated their agreements, but will also be speaking with the judges and FBI handlers involved in some of these cases. One tweet from Peter Gaudio, highlighted on the project's website, shows a picture of Gaudio playing the character of Joseph the Animal Barboza in one of the episodes of Witsec Mafia. There's yet to be any information regarding the release date of either of the two projects. Some of the other cast members expected to appear in the docu-series Season 1 include Robert Ventura, who's playing Roy French, Robert Gillings, who is set to play a senator, Damian Trites playing as Teddy Deegan, Ian Morales will be playing Tony Stats, and Brian Hoyle set to play Jimmy Flemmy. The show is directed by Gotti Jr., written by James Tamburino, and produced by Gotti Jr. and Chris Casparosa. In a 2018 interview with Men's Journal, Gotti Jr. explains his hatred for his former pal John Alite, who testified against Jr. in a trial where Jr. was facing the death penalty if convicted. Luckily for Gotti, not one person on the jury believed Alite's testimony. Gotti also takes aim at Gravano, claiming both men will have their own chapters in the book. In Junior's interview with Men's Journal, he told the interviewer he planned to defend his father's legacy from guys like Gravano, and was quoted saying he will do that by being a good son and a loyal son in his father's death, and by picking up his sword and moving forward, that's how he'll defend him and his family. But he admitted the pen is mightier than the sword in this case. And when speaking on John Alite, his former friend, who he says he had to chase out of the neighborhood, quote, "If people were to ask me if I have an axe to grind, I do." After testifying against Gotti, Alite violated the terms of his cooperation agreement by writing a book which he called Gotti's Boys, and would brand himself as a reformed gangster who would now advocate for kids as a motivational speaker, and would get the support and backing and help of FBI handlers who Junior says are corrupt and only go so above and beyond for their informants because it's promised to them in exchange for lying in their testimonies. According to the website, the Witsec Mafia book will be over 500 pages long, and the chapter on John Alite is already complete, and claims segments from his chapter will dominate the book. Junior got the idea for Witsec Mafia after finding out Alite was writing the book Gotti's Boys, and decided to write his own book, Shadow of My Father, to combat Alite's lies. And during his hours of research, locking himself away writing 600 pages in just 4 months, he kept coming across cases similar to his, where Witsec cooperators were getting special treatment from certain handlers and prosecutors, and that's when he got the idea to write Witsec Mafia.